Welcome back to the off cycle. Picking up today, making some good progress. I got the top deck of the hull, a lot of the issue areas, I got those faired out, sanded, and I got a layer of total boat topside primer on the whole top deck, except for the back area that's still got to be fiberglassed in with the transom. So it's all primed except for that one area that'll get glassed in, faired out, and then it'll get primed separately with everything. I'm gonna have to put the boat together to paint it. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to paint the top side and then the bottom side separately, since they have to be glassed together once they're riveted, and at the transom it's got to be glassed in. But I also got my stringers laid inside the hull as well. I decided not to put a whole bunch of money into this boat and go composite and go with plywood. I'm not using marine grade plywood, which I know some people swear is a sin, but it's not marine grade plywood. It's just exterior grade plywood. I'm just really ensuring that I'm doing good laminations and getting everything totally sealed. I'm doing the same with the stringers. The center stringer is a little thicker than the side stringers, but I did set those in today. I set the stringers in and leveled them and everything, and I actually set them in with that Loctite PL construction adhesive. It's like a polyurethane adhesive, rather than going with like the thickened polyester resin, using the fumed silica or the Cabasol, whatever it is, mostly just due to the longer working time and the cost. It was going to cost a lot of money to make that much thickened epoxy. I had read a couple things about putting stringers in and filling gaps with that stuff, and using that stuff to do your fillets, just to hold your stringers in. It's really just there to hold them and fill gaps, and the strength is coming from the fiberglass that goes over them anyway. So I did set them in with that and got them all leveled out. I ended up putting two boards, pieces of plywood across the stringers and screwing those, so I know their level holds them in place while everything sets up. So I was inside the boat working with it, got most everything put in there, and then got out of the boat. Obviously had some flex, so I got out of the boat and went back in and pushed stuff back in where it had separated, just from me getting in and out of the boat. But it all is looking pretty good now, so I'll go ahead and show you all the updates that we've got so far. So here is the top cap. Like I said, it's got a coat of primer on it, the Total Boat topside primer. It's not been sanded or blocked or anything. I just painted it about an hour ago, or primed it about an hour ago. Everything back here is left unprimed because I'm still gonna have to glass this back area in. This was an access hole for the old pulley steering, and I had it on this side. So I went ahead and glassed that and filled that in. This side is still going to be used for the steering cable, and then like the wiring harness and things like that. So I left these two because I'll still utilize those. But other than that, everything else pretty much got filled, unless it was a hole for holes for cleats, or I did leave the rod holders, and then I did leave on the inside the little holes for the couple little handles that were set up to go inside of there. So those are still there as well. And the holes for the controls are still over there. Granted, I am going to be using different controls now, but all that's going to be covered, so no sense in filling it. I got most of the dash filled in. It's not perfect, but doesn't need to be, because it has the nice wood, mahogany wood panel that I made. That's going to go in there. But overall, once I sand this thing down and smooth it out, it's really going to look much nicer than it did. I'm really happy I took the extra time to fair it out a decent amount. I really wasn't happy with all the texture that I had up here. So once I get this thing blocked out a little bit and take some 220 to it or something like that, I think it'll really come together. But it's looking really good so far. So onto the transom. The last thing I did today was starting to take down some of this, sand down some of this glass in this areas that had stuff pushing through from when I did the transom lamination and the transom install. So tomorrow, I think, is get the rest of this paint off the back, and then I'm going to decide whether or not I'm going to do one layer of chop strand matte over the back, just to fill in some of these areas that were ground thin. But I really don't think I'm going to need to. I think if I just go ahead and sand everything instead of using the grinder, because this is original gel coat right here. It's either original gel coat or fairing compound, when I think it's gel coat. But so glass would stick to that, I'm pretty sure, but I think it may be fairing compound. Either way, I might just go ahead and fair the back of this transom and call it good. I mean, it is rock solid. It's super solid. I just got a couple, this was a screw hole from the original motor mounts that I screwed through to suck the transom in for it to cure when I was laminating it to the inside of the hull. So those are actually going to be drilled out again pretty much in the same area. So the Mercury holes are just about the same as the Johnson holes. So that's going to be drilled out anyway. I don't know if I'm going to go ahead and fill that in or not, but if I'm going to fair it, it's going to get filled. So I think tomorrow I might just go ahead and fair this out. Just the back of it, the top edge, obviously it's going to get more glass work right here in this corner where the hull kind of comes up. You can see it kind of comes up here and it kind of tapers down. This is where the top cap meets and comes in, wraps over, and then the splash well comes down in here. And that's the glass work that I have to do down in here. So I still have more glassing to do. It may be worth my while to wait on this and fair it in after I get that done, or I may do it now. I'm not really quite sure. So that's what I'm deciding for tomorrow. But my stringers, I did get laid in. Like I said, these are my boards that I put across and just put screws in the top. That ensures that my stringers are level in there. And then any gaps that were underneath there, I went ahead and put the Loctite polyurethane construction adhesive under there, and then I can go back with my flat wheel and grind all this construction adhesive off of the fiberglass, so I'm sure to get a good bond. I just want the construction adhesive filling the gaps and in there and kind of holding the stringers level and in place, and then they'll get glassed over, which will be the strength for everything.